What's going on, everybody? Sean Daniel here with Guitar Control, and today we're going to talk about how to start rocking out some different chords all over the neck in a way that is really going to spice up your playing for some simple, basic chords that maybe you're kind of stuck in a rut with, and you want to experiment more further up the fretboard. So definitely check out the link below because I'm going to tab out what we're going to do. It's really only a couple different shapes, and it's all going to be based around a C major chord. So we've got this open C major chord, which I'm sure you probably already know this, but it's 3rd fret on the A string, 2nd fret on the D string, open G, 1st fret on the B string, open E. Okay? One of the first chords you ever learn, one of the most important chords in the history of chordage. But really, the thing to remember is it's only 3 different notes. Even though we play 5 strings, it's only C, E, and G notes. So for example, the 3rd fret on the A string is a C, 2nd fret on the D string is E, open G is a G, 1st fret on the B string is a C, and then open E, okay? So one kind of pointer to start playing all around the neck is to find those 3 notes in different locations, maybe in different shapes, all right? So the first one we're gonna do is gonna be taken from a different chord voicing. A chord voicing is just a different way to play the same chord. Some people may have seen this one right here, a C major bar chord kind of rooted on the A string. So this would be like 3A, 5D, 5G, 5B, optionally 3E. But what we're going to start doing is taking little pieces of these to incorporate into our playing. So maybe if you just have a part of a song or even an entire song that is just kind of hanging out on a C chord, instead of just playing a C the entire time, maybe we can start adding little pieces of other chords to make it seem like you're doing a lot of different things when really you're just kind of cycling through different groupings of these notes, okay? So again, from that second shape, you don't even need to know this shape. All we need to know is that the 5th fret, D string, G string, and B string are all going to be those same notes, just in a different location on the neck. So I actually want to even pare that down even further. I want to take just the D string and the G string. Okay? Now the 5th fret on the D string is a G note, and the 5th fret on the G string is a C note, okay? So those together are C and G. We don't really have an E. Like remember I said at the beginning, it was a C major chord is a C, an E, and a G. We don't really need those if we just kind of want to embellish some of these other parts of the chord, okay? See, like this is a really good example of maybe going from here to here, and you can use whatever fingers are more comfortable for you. I kind of like using maybe just one index finger because then you can add a little bit of vibrato. I think easier by kind of milking that 2-note thing. So anytime you see a C major chord, you can just go from C major, and it almost sounds like 2 different chords, but you know, it's really kind of the same notes. And we're also going to do this in the context of a bigger progression with other chords too. But first I want to go through 2 more locations of where we can find these notes, always in relation to a chord. Because this isn't just about C major chord. There are plenty of other chords that all deserve equal opportunity. And one way to kind of track it is, okay, the root note of my C chord is right here with my ring finger. I can always kind of go, maybe skip a string, go from 3A to 5G to get that octave, and then right below it is always going to be that shape. So anytime you see a root note that is here, you can always kind of do that little thing right there. Like for a G major chord, you can take this and then go find those same notes, okay? And then we're actually also using these in the same key, which we'll get to in a minute, but I really want to start moving around the neck and finding 2 more spots, all right? So another great combination of C major notes is going to be the 8th fret on the low E string. Now this is where maybe you can put a bar chord like this on, but again, we're making it easier. We're not going to do bar chords right now. We're just going to take the C on the low E string, and then the 7th fret on the A string, which is the E. So now we have a C and an E. Remember before we had a G and a C, now we're taking a C and an E. So all the chords, all the notes in that chord are represented just in different ways. So now we can start kind of switching around between these 2 spots. I have this first 2-note little kind of dyad power chord, however you want to look at it, that I can kind of rock out here. I can maybe jump from here to here. In fact, some people will even play a chord voicing that is kind of combining both of these, which would be maybe like if you ever did like the caged chord system, something like that. This would be like a G major shape over a C. But we're breaking them into smaller pieces that I think make it a little bit easier to go through the neck, if you can't see my fingers there, right? So 8E and 7A, and again I'm going to tab this out, the different voicings that we're using. 8E and 7A to 5D and 5G, and then back to the original mothership C chord that we have here. Now we're going to go one section of the neck even higher to grab this guy right here. All right, now this is going to be reminiscent of a D major shape. But if we root it with your ring finger all the way down on the 13th fret of the B string, we get this C chord, okay? Same difference. Again, I want to focus in on just these 2-note little pieces of chords. So I've got the 12th fret on the G string, which is a G, it's the octave G. And then the 13th fret on the B string, which is our root note again, C, okay? So even if you don't always like thinking of, how am I going to remember where all these notes are, stuff like that, I think this is the way to do it because in my experience from learning and teaching a lot, it's not so much like, okay, I've got all these notes memorized. I know the 4th fret on the A string is a C sharp, the 7th fret on the E string is a B. It's really not about memorizing specific locations. I think it's more about creating kind of like a system of a framework and finding the locations of a note and starting to learn different chord voicings that are kind of, of the same notes, and then moving them around the neck. You just start to develop thoughtfulness about what notes are going into what chords. So I know it can be kind of daunting thinking about like, it's hard enough to like make a shape and then try to play in time and do different things. But once you start being just like somewhat thoughtful about the notes that go in a chord, I think you're going to see your playing really take off because you're going to understand the fretboard so much more. So again, this is our new guy right here, 12G, 13B. And then now we can jump into any of those previous spots. So we kind of have 4 locations, which is what the tab is going to show out, the 4 locations of where we're going here. We have the original C location. We have the 5th fret doubled up here. We have rooted on the E string. And then we also have higher up the neck. So again, this can be done on an acoustic or electric guitar. I just like taking it up to here because unless your acoustic has a cutaway, this is kind of, near the end of the playable range of the instrument on some acoustic guitars. So you'll always be able to use this stuff. From here, you can jump from here all the way back to the intro, which I think is a great way to kind of end a song. If maybe you're just like 4 counts of C, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? To end it, maybe be like 1, 2, 3, 4. Which, that's a cool challenge. Maybe you just want to drill that. Going from here to here, without even having to think about it, without even having to look at it, as I look at it when I do it. But yeah, this is a cool thing to maybe slide into. And again, the fingers that you use aren't so important. You'll just want to make it comfortable, but you don't want to be stuck using the same fingers all the time. So the actual fingering of these chord voicings is somewhat contextual. So it kind of depends on what you're coming to and where you're going from. There's no really wrong way to do it. But we're going to start jumping around from all these chord voicings into each other, okay? So maybe we can just start doing some kind of rhythmic thing with like a C chord, like. Just whatever, just make up your own rhythm. It doesn't have to be this, doesn't have to be anything like it, but we have a C. So that's just one at a time, to the first one, to the second one, to the third one. Then maybe we start combining them. So, there's really an infinite amount of things that you can do, and that's just all over a C major chord. Now, again, most chord progressions that you'll see are usually in the same key. So there's a bunch of chords in the key of C major. There's actually 6 main ones. So one thing you might see a lot is a a C major to a G major chord, okay? Or C major to A minor. Now, any of these shapes that we learned are just notes in the key of C, so they're gonna sound good over any of these chords. In fact, you might actually kind of develop a taste for how these sound over different chords in the C major scale. So maybe we can just start like C major to A minor, right? Back to C. Any of these notes are going to work, and just in fact, any chord tones, which is really what we're doing, it's almost kind of like getting, you can kind of think of part of it as like lead playing, and adding them to different open chords. But the great thing is, these are just notes in the key of C. So once you start thinking about the key that you're in, the chords that you're using, etc., all of it kind of coalesces into just one mass of your incredible guitar and music knowledge, which you can thank me and Guitar Control for helping you out. Really, you know, just experiment with it and use it however you want. You can start doing like single note runs, like maybe sliding into that first shape that we did instead of always playing it as a chord. You play them as chords, play them as just total replacements for a C major chord. Maybe if you're playing in a band or something like that, you want to leave space for other instruments to kind of do their sound, have their thing. So instead of playing a C major chord here, which sounds great as far as like a solo acoustic performance goes, maybe if you're in a band where, you know, the bass player's kind of holding down this note and there's like another electric guitar player or something playing this chord, instead of just playing what they're playing, maybe play this. Because it's the same chord, but in a different location. So thinking about alternate chord voicings, adding single note runs on top of chords that you already know is really a great introduction to just kind of expanding your playing and your knowledge of the fretboard. So hopefully you learned something, and if you have any questions or comments, hit us up in the comment section. And also make sure to click around on some of the other videos that we have to kind of further help your understanding of what we got going on here by myself, other great instructors, anything else on the Guitar Control channel or the website, just scope it out and let us know what you want to see more of. And until then, we'll talk to you next time. Thanks a lot.